Well, hi everybody. I know you're probably, a lot of you are probably at home right now getting ready for the NFL draft that starts here in about 20 minutes or so. I know I'm looking forward to it myself. But before we get to that, I wanted to just give you a quick weather update. I'm about to go on my dinner break here in a minute. I want to give you a quick weather update and kind of talk a little bit about what's going on and what you can expect weather-wise here this evening and tonight. So let's start with this graphic here. And, well, now let's go back to the radar. Let's go back to the radar graphic if we could. And the radar is all clear right now, all quiet, nothing over us. And, we've never really have expected storms in the evening. We have to go kind of out west and we look at the dry line. You can see the dry line there. It's picking up on radar, showing this boundary. It's just showing some density differences there. And even over here, it's very, very quiet. In fact, you got to go up here into Kansas. That's where the active severe thunderstorm warning. There's been a couple tornadoes up there today, but not a lot. It really hasn't been a very active severe weather day up there. I think a lot of it's because, the best ingredients are down our way or down here for severe storms and tornadoes. The best ingredients, but you don't have as much lift, so you don't have a lot in a way. You don't have a trigger. You don't have a match to light the fuse, so we don't have storms here. But I do expect. Very, very late tonight for that to change here. So if we look, there is we're looking at the visible satellite, and there's some cumulus clouds up here north of Amarillo, but those aren't really developing into anything. There still could be one or two that may try to get going up here this evening. And then there are the clusters of storms up to the west, northwest there in Kansas. But down to the south, you don't really see much. You don't see a lot of real hard, crisp towers. You're starting to see some here now west of Lubbock and west of Amarillo. This is actually behind the dry line. But our main storm itself, the main storm energy that we're watching, is back here over the Four Corners region. And there's your leading edge. And as this begins to overspread West Texas, you're going to begin to see thunderstorms develop along that dry line here late tonight. And as that storm system continues to move eastward, it's going to drag a Pacific front down to the south. And we'll see a line of storms quickly develop along that front and move across northwest Texas and southwest Oklahoma in the middle of the night. I don't expect anything to get going until very late, though. I go late Thursday evening, late Thursday night, and I'm talking about maybe closer to midnight, maybe a little bit before that, but somewhere around midnight, you start with your thunderstorms developing out this way. Now, initially, these storms could contain some larger hailstones and maybe some gusty winds. Can't rule out a tornado, but I don't think at least that threat is really high at this time. And then as we get into the overnight and pre-dawn hours on Friday, that front advances to the east, and it has slowed up a little bit today. So the storms may linger early tomorrow morning over here in some of our eastern counties. But overnight tonight, this line of storms with some gusty winds, smaller hail, and maybe a spin up. Oftentimes what happens is you got this line of storms that's moving in this direction. It's moving to the due east. And the winds within those lines are moving from west to east. Now, ahead of it, you get a little bit of a southeasterly wind. So oftentimes you get this sudden change in wind direction. You can get a little quick spin up that might develop in that line. Usually these are weak. These are usually the briefer variety, EF0, EF1s, but we'll keep an eye on it. This part of the country, we just don't see a lot of big, strong tornadoes here in the middle of the night. Sometimes the Metroplex will get them in closer to and east of I-35 and across central and east Texas. But for some reason up here, because we're closer to, the higher terrain there off of the Texas Panhandle, and you wind up getting what's called a stronger EML, elevated mixed layer. You wind up getting a more of a cap here. So oftentimes these storms won't be quite surface-based, and you got to have a surface-based storm to get tornadoes. So oftentimes that's why we don't see a lot of that here. But tonight, again, with the strong wind energy, we could see some of that. There's your line of storms. By 2 a.m., I think it'd probably be 2 Vernon before 2 a.m. And from there, I still think it moves into Wichita Falls between 2 and 3, maybe 3:30. And again, first thing in the morning, there could be some steel over there in our far eastern counties before that shifts to the east. Of course, we got the threats maybe tomorrow evening down closer to the Metroplex, northeast Texas, and then we get some storm chances that return on Saturday. I'm not going to get too specific with Saturday yet because we need to get through this one tonight, and I don't think tonight's going to be a major, a larger end or a major end severe weather event for us. But Saturday still has a potential, so we'll see how it all comes together, and could be all hazards possible, and that would be, when you think about severe storms, the severe thunderstorm hazards would be hail, wind, and tornadoes. So we'll just see how it all comes together on that. That's still a little bit of a ways out, not too far out though, but like I say, we'll worry about that one tomorrow. So Cameron, we don't have a whole lot of people watching this right now. Maybe it's because we just don't have a whole lot going on. I don't know. But I appreciate it, Margaret. Thank you. Tomorrow morning, you know what, Faye? I don't know where you're at. If you're in Wichita Falls, which I don't know that you are, then no. Here, I think that the storms would be east of us by the time you get up in the morning. I mean, by early Friday, I mean the pre-dawn hours. That would be early tomorrow morning for those thunderstorms to be, like I say, about 3:30 a.m. here in Wichita Falls. That's what I expect here. So, Alney, your time frame, let me show you. I'll show you a time frame here. And I may have to update these. Oftentimes, until that line develops, you really don't know how, everything's going to really progress. But I went with a little bit of a faster scenario because these lines of storms typically move a little faster than the weather information indicates. So I'm going to go 11 to 1 a.m. out west here. But even there, it could be a little bit later than that. We jump over to Lawton, Wichita Falls, Alney, and Throckmorton, Archer City, these areas, eastern Baylor County. I'm going to say really between about 1 and 3, maybe 4 a.m. here. And then our eastern counties, talking about Duncan, over towards Waurika, maybe Henrietta, Nakona, Bowie, Jacksboro, Graham, over towards Wise County. Over here between about 3 and 5, maybe 6 a.m. Squall line with gusty winds, hail, small hail mostly, and a little spin up can't be ruled out. So it'll be interesting to see how it all comes together a little bit later on tonight. So I don't know what those guys in Fort Worth say. I know here's the deal, and again, I can't speak for them. I can only speak for me, Garrett. Oftentimes, TV stations and a lot of these, and most of these weather hypers and internet weather, people, they show they basically just regurgitate the forecast from the National Weather Service and the Storm Prediction Center. Now, those guys do a good job, and I'm certainly not here to slam them by no means at all. But my thinking, I've been here watching this for a little while. I've been watching these weather systems here for a long time now, over 15 years now. And I just know how these storm systems behave. So the forecast you see me, and like I say, I can't speak for those guys down in Dallas, and I'm sure they do a good job. The forecast that you see from me is based upon my opinion and my knowledge of the weather. I do not overhype weather. I'm just not into that. There's a lot of people out there that I don't know if it's because they don't have any confidence in themselves, or maybe they don't have confidence in their forecast abilities. I don't know. But whatever the Storm Prediction Center says or the Weather Service says, that's usually what they say. And like I say, those guys do a good job, but they've been a little bit off lately. So, but anyway, what you're just basically seeing is my opinion. I don't want to confuse you, and I hate to do that, but I just have to call it like I see it. I teach my guys, my weather guys, Cameron and Jaden, be your own meteorologist. Be your own weather person. Don't rely upon what someone else says. Do your own thing. I would rather be wrong because I got it wrong than be right because somebody else got it right. So, well, I mean, like I say, I'm not slamming. The folks in Fort Worth and Norman, they do a great job. They have really smart people up there they're way smarter than me that do a great job. And I can't speak for them all, but a lot of these guys, these new guys today, they wind up. They have all these fancy gadgets and all these fancy models they look at. And I think that they put too much. I think they put too much emphasis, perhaps, on some of these fancy computer models these days, and don't put enough emphasis upon what they know, their knowledge. So, Ryan wants to know, truly wonder if a tornado will actually produce with this system. That CAPE is pretty strong over Vernon. Well, here's the deal, Ryan. Yes, we do have a lot of CAPE because we got a lot of real humid conditions out there tonight. But above the Earth's surface is going to be a little bit of a warm layer. And while it isn't a real strong warm layer, we'd call this convective inhibition, or we call it a cap. While it isn't overly strong, it's going to take that line of storms coming in to be able to push through it and to get storms. So the question is, will they be surface-based storms? And oftentimes when you get these lines, all the winds and stuff are spread out, so you don't have the same organization to those lines that you do with a supercell. Now, they can still produce spin-ups. We call them QLCS, quasi-linear convective type tornadoes. But usually they're weak, and they usually are pretty brief. And that's probably what we're looking at if we see any of that at all tonight. So Saturday could be a different story, but again, I'm just not going to get too much into that yet. There's tons of people already been asking me today. Everybody's scared to death, and I have been talking about it some, and I have been, with good reason. I have to at least mention it and play it up some, but I'm not ready to, call for Armageddon yet, or the end of the world yet. So we'll just see how it all goes. I'm just trying to be focused on one system at a time, and we'll get to that one tomorrow. So, but just know Saturday could be another severe weather day. That's all you need to know right now. So. All right, well, the way we're handling things tonight is I am here in the studio. I'm going to be here till late tonight, really until, I feel that the threat is, lower or the threat is over. And that may be that I'll be, maybe means that I'm here into the pre-dawn hours, maybe here even into the morning show tomorrow. I don't know. We'll just have to see, what it, see what happens. But Jaden will be in around 2 a.m. Cameron is here throughout as well. I don't know that we're going to send the tracker out. It just depends on what the storms look like and how they're behaving. And it's the middle of the night. It's harder to see it. I'm not against sending the tracker out for to track storms. Matter of fact, the best storm chase we've ever had here at this station was October several years ago. We sent the tracker out and saw some big, huge tornadoes up there in Oklahoma. So, I'm not against it, but I just don't know. Well, we're just going to play that one by ear. Otherwise, we got Cameron here in the studio with me, but I'm about to go eat. I got the worst weather-related headache today. Been over 10 years. It's bad today, but going to go to the air show Saturday. Well, I hope that they, and I advise you to go to the air show because I don't think it's going to be like last Saturday. It ain't going to be raining all day. I think we'll have the air show unless they cancel it. So I don't know. I do think a watch will be issued, Gwen. My personal opinion, severe thunderstorm watch would probably handle it well, but the Storm Prediction Center will probably go tornado watch, most likely, because they kind of go with the worst case scenario, which kind of cover your rear end type thing. So I think that personally, I feel severe thunderstorm watch and just mention some spin ups, but they'll probably err on the side of caution and go tornado watch. I would think late tonight. So. Well, Ron, I do appreciate that, but of course, it's real disheartening though when you see people, local people that are commenting on these weather pages, people who are not meteorologists who do hype up weather, about how they don't trust the local meteorologists anymore, and I don't know why that is because we've done nothing to cause that. I don't know why they do it. I don't know why they're saying that. To me, I just don't think they watch at all. I think that's why they say that. So. I don't think it'll be real large hail, Peggy. I think there could be some, mostly smaller hail, pea size mostly. Maybe a little bit larger, but, with the line of thunderstorms, you typically just don't get that. So, well, thanks, Ron. You just made me feel really old. Yeah, he said he's been my main guy since he was a kid, and he's an adult now. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I am. You do one of two things. You either die or get older, right? And I'm not ready. I'm not ready to go yet. I still got many storms to track before I go. So, or I hope anyway. So, I guess it's when my time I'll go, right? All right, guys. Well, I'm going to jump off here. I'm going to go get a bite to eat. Thank you, Vicki, for that nice comment there. Thank you, Krista, for that nice comment there. Yeah, well, I try to be hip. Sometimes I may make a fool of myself, but thank you there, and Cameron just confirmed that. So there's Desiree. Thank you, Desiree. I appreciate you. Appreciate all you guys, all of you. Love you all. I really do. Seriously, I do. So, but I'm going to jump off here. I'm going to go eat. I've been doing a juice cleanse this week, and I haven't had solid food since Saturday. But with this juice cleanse, we had there was a lot of cashews in it, and I wound up breaking out into the absolute worst rash I've ever had in my entire life, head to toe, man, terrible. So I had to go get a shot this morning to help calm this, and it's getting better. I feel a lot better this evening. I was rough this morning, but needless to say, I'm eating solid food again. I'm done with juice cleanse. It's good for somebody, for some folks, but it ain't good for me. Yeah, well, I mean, we'll be doing coverage for sure. If we get some good stuff, I promise you, we're going to be all over it. That's for sure, Ryan. That's for sure. All right, I'm going to eat, guys. I'll do another update here on Facebook Live a little bit later on tonight after I get back from my